Good evening and welcome to the special city commission meeting. Today is January the 7th. It's our first meeting of the new year. Happy New Year to everyone. I'd like to convene the meeting and call for the roll.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell. Here. Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Here.
Commissioner Scott Wilson is excused for the time being. Mayor Denise McGriff.
Present. So tonight on our agenda for our special meeting, we have some interviews for the Planning Commission and for the public that's watching at home and for others. This is the second time since we changed the charter that have the Planning Commission and the Historic Review Board be interviewed and selected by the City Commission in toto, rather than the way it was previously. So we are going to be conducting some interviews tonight. And I'd like to call up our first applicant. So come on down, or up, or whichever way it's going. And you can be in the hot seat there. So since we just did roll call, we probably won't reintroduce ourselves since you can see our nameplates. But so welcome and thank you for submitting an application. We have some questions. They are there in front of you, I believe. So would you please introduce yourself and tell us why you'd like to serve on the Planning Commission? And are you aware of, and second part of it is, tell us what neighborhood association you're in and what opportunities and issues are facing your neighborhood that you are aware of.
Certainly. My name is...
Move that closer to you. It moves. There you go.
My name is Trace Guymont. I live in the Caulfield neighborhood over by the high school. I'm interested in getting more involved with the community. My wife and I have been living here for the last couple of years, looking forward to living here for a long time more, close to family and all the great things that Oregon City offers. And seems like my skills and background line up with what's required of the Planning Commission, and seems like a good way to be able to get involved with the community.
And that is?
And the opportunities or issues faced.
And that is what skills and...
Oh, sorry. I've served on a nonprofit board. I was most recently the president of the Willamette Valley Soaring Club over in North Plains. I've served in other positions on there as well. I manage a team at work, as well as then I've been interacting quite frequently with the building and planning staff doing various renovations on my home and property. And I have to admit, they have been incredibly helpful going through the code and helping me understand it if I had questions and that sort of thing. So I've spent a bit of time digging around the code and interacting with the various land use regulations. And then the potential opportunities or issues facing the neighborhood is just, we're in an older neighborhood, and actually, you guys may or may not remember me. I was in front of you about 2 years ago asking for sewer to be installed so that my neighborhood could get connected off of our 50-year-old sewer septics. And the Public Works Department came through and put in a sewer main, and I'm connected up, as well as at least one of my neighbors, and hopefully the rest will soon be joining us. So that's one thing that, making sure we're having the infrastructure put into the older neighborhoods in the Caulfield Neighborhood Association would be, something that's an opportunity to ensure that, everyone's getting involved and benefiting from the city.
Commissioner Smith?
Right. What is the most important goal or purpose of the Planning Commission?
Yeah, so I took my understanding of that is that the Planning Commission is there to understand, help craft the comprehensive plan and uphold the comprehensive plan through advising the City Commission on potential regulations and policies for land use that meet the goals set forth in the comprehensive plan, as well as updating the comprehensive plan as things change. But also the Planning Commission rather is there to also help hold hearings for various land use applications and apply the existing city code to those applications.
So Mike, would you take Scott's question, please?
What are your thoughts on balancing livability, housing costs, and state and local code requirements?
Yeah, so that's a great question because the state has been doing some state level changes that affect zoning and middle housing and the like. I think those two aren't necessarily competing interests. I think you can have zoning regulations and a nice wide variety of housing types intermixed around commercial centers, kind of like the famous 5+1 where you have commercial on the bottom and apartments above and that sort of thing, which allow for vibrant communities, close association with your neighbors. And they can be done in such a way to preserve the character of the communities where they're being either infilled or newly developed. Of course, we don't want to go bulldozing through the historic district to put in high rises, but certainly there's been new development over by the high school, and there's more planned, and that's an excellent place to kind of start improving and can continue to improve livability through some of these newer ways of making walkable communities. And of course, the more houses that are available, the cheaper they get. And the Planning Commission and the City Commission through the code can try to streamline and improve the application process just to keep costs consistent and understandable for developers to help get that housing stock into those nice, vibrant communities. Of course, we have to do what the state mandates, through the state law, since they are the ultimate land use planners for us. So we would need to take into account all of their middle housing and ADU requirements, parking minimums, that sort of thing that they've been recently meddling with.
So expand on, please, what relevant skills, abilities, and experiences have prepared you for the Planning Commission? Because it's a fairly high bar.
Certainly. Yes, so I've served, I think, now for 3 years, over the past 8 or so, on the board of directors for the Willamette Valley Soaring Club. It's a nonprofit flight club that looks to instill proper values in the community and introduce and expand aviation and STEM education throughout the community. As part of that, I've served on a sort of a policy-making board where, the members don't have any individual ability to do anything, but we all have to work through the rules of parliamentary procedure and make motions and work cooperatively to, meet the goals and the needs of the club. And some of those decisions that the board had to make were popular, which is great. Some of them were necessary, such as, raising dues or things like that, but the club needed to remain financially solvent, and so you do what you have to do in those situations. And then additionally, I've spent a fair bit of time meddling around in the code, trying to understand what I can, what I can't do with my property, how that impacts, the development, and then the various development areas that we're doing, like Thimble Creek and that sort of thing. And I've spent many hours in with the planning and building department, understanding what they do and then having them help me if I had any questions. As far as Planning Commission itself, I've both interacted with the code, but then, I understand the need for the code and how the building code really just serves to reinforce the comprehensive plan that this community has come together to sort of use a term from work, North Star of where everyone wants to go for the community. And I think that those two experiences have kind of prepared me, and I've got a decent understanding of what I would be getting into as part of this. I reviewed some of the previous Planning Commission meetings just to make sure that I knew what I was signing up for.
Good evening. What types of decisions does the Planning Commission get involved in?
Certainly. So there's, I believe it's in the code, type 3 and type 4 land use decisions. On type 3, I believe, I have the references in here and could look it up, but one is they're the initial decider and the other they're the final decider for the various types of land use. So for instance, like variances, rezoning, things like that. And then they also have, I wouldn't necessarily call it like a decision, but they would propose like legislation and things like that for the city commission to actually either accept or reject the proposal, new code based upon state regulations changing and that sort of thing. But I don't know if you'd count that as a decision as part of your question.
Okay. Oftentimes, public comments are opposed to development projects. How would you take public comment into account in making your decisions?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It depends on what kind of decision I'm making. A lot of the time, those decisions are, I believe the code refers to them as quasi-judicial, and the opinion of the public doesn't necessarily have much influence on that. The goal of those hearings is to basically act as like the judge or jury in a trial and see if the application meets what the city code is at that time. Of course, if it's more of a legislative function like recommending policy, then of course that feedback is great to have when making new recommendations to the city commission going forward, but it doesn't affect like applications at the time unless those public comments point out something that maybe the city staff or the planning commission may have missed where the proposed application doesn't actually meet the city code.
So one of the last questions is, the Planning Commission meets on the second and fourth Mondays of each month at 7 p.m. And sometimes there's a lot of material to read, and would you be able to schedule your time so that you would be able to attend all of the meetings and be able to respond to the things that they submit to you to read and review?
Certainly, coming prepared is important. I have my notes with me for this as well. Not a problem reading. I work from home, so I'm almost always in the city unless I'm on vacation somewhere or the rare work trip.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask, which kind of got back to number one, is have you ever gone to a Caulfield Neighborhood Association meeting?
I haven't. Those seem to fall on, I believe, Tuesdays, and they seem to always be in the way of other things, unfortunately.
Do you have any questions for us? Or is there anything else that you would like us to know about your background and why you are ideally suited for the Planning Commission?
Certainly. So I've read the code, the duties and powers for the Planning Commission. If I'm not mistaken, at least several of you have served on the Planning Commission in the past. How realistic the old version, which is what the code is, and then there's the like realistic how it operates day to day and how you guys interact with the Planning Commission. So if you guys could shed some light on that, that would be great.
Well, I would have to say when we served, we had a lot more work to do than what is currently on the agendas for the Planning Commission. I have a background in planning, so it was something that I'm very familiar with. I used to work for the city as a planner, so it's all in my head, lots of code. It's one of those things that I feel is, very important. And I personally spent a lot of time reviewing all the material, plus doing study outside of the Planning Commission. If things came up, I wanted to know more about it. I'd say of both of the bodies that advise us are, to me, in my opinion, are very, very important. And I look to their expertise and their comments and their concerns when things come up. We don't get that many appeals, but when we have, I do review everything that they do. I will not say that I agree with everything that they do, but I take that into consideration when I'm looking at anything that comes up from the Planning Commission. And I do occasionally sit in on some of their meetings when I don't have other meetings. But I'll turn it over to my colleague. We overlapped though, didn't we?
No,
We did.
we didn't overlap.
I think you came in after me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was on the Planning Commission just before I was appointed
Right.
to here. And it's a tough question to answer because, as you alluded to, this changes that the state has made really have changed the role of the Planning Commission. In my personal opinion, not to the good. There's an argument to be made both ways. But losing some of that local control that we lost, I think is troublesome. When I was on the Planning Commission, there was one very large application that we got involved with, and that took a lot of time and a lot of meetings. And I think the recommendation that we ended up making to the city commission did help move the process forward, and I felt like it was important work that we were doing, and I don't mean to diminish the work of the planning commission now, but I think part of what the role may be is helping figure out how we can navigate within the state rules and still keep a degree of local control that we want, because, one size fits all doesn't work. And so I think that'll be part of what you would be involved with if you were on the planning commission, and it would be, we get involved with a lot of different stuff in this body and don't have the time to get way deep in the weeds that the planning commission has, and that's what we rely on them for, and it's an important role. So thank you for being interested in serving.
Yeah,
Got it.
I would concur with what he said. It's in I strongly believe in local control. I believe in home rule, and that was even before I was on the policy side here as on the commission. So I have concerns, which staff is very aware of, that we are being judged by, as Mike said, one size fits all. And I want to make sure we meet the standards of what the state is asking us, but it has to work for Oregon City. We are, obviously, in my opinion, I'm very biased, a very unique community. We don't have circumstances that say Gresham, Beaverton, even Cottage Grove have. We are very, very different. And I want to make sure that we maintain that uniqueness, and that's what brings people here. That's why we're here, a lot of us. We have so many things that we can expand and continue to support the planning program that the state has outlined, but we need to have the opportunity to participate with the state in how these things happen to local jurisdictions.
Got it. That makes sense. One quick follow on. I know you guys have a lot of people to talk to tonight. You guys mentioned just like researching policy and spending the time to really dive deep. Does the staff, I know they produce the staff reports, but are they available to answer questions?
Yes.
And excellent. Everyone I've interacted with at the city has been just fantastic and so knowledgeable.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your coming in.
Thank you.
Forgot my eyes. Give you a minute to get your coat off and get settled in. There's a little button on the microphone, and you can slide that forward so that you're not having to reach. And so when you're ready, you just turn it on, and green light should be on.
Good.
So good evening, and thank you so much for coming in and interviewing for the Planning Commission. I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us why you'd like to serve on the Planning Commission. And there's questions next to you. So the other thing is that we know what neighborhoods you're in, and could you speak to whether there are any opportunities or issues facing your neighborhood that you are aware of?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name's Greg Lind, and I'm here mostly because I've been a metro region resident anyway my whole life, third generation Oregonian, and moved to Oregon City, I guess it's been about 5 years ago, and live kind of close into in the historic district, really close to where my father's heart is, and some of the other areas where there's some interesting homeless problems there, I think. And so that one of the things that I was hoping to get involved in is helping around those conditions and how to help folks that are struggling a little bit, and looking at how the planning. I've done a little bit of work with the Chamber of Commerce as well, talking with them about some of their plans around the new business districts, especially as the Main Street area is expanding down into where the new waterfall access areas in Willamette Falls and all of that is. So a lot of what I'm interested in is just around how those plans are going, how I can help with that. And also I think from my standpoint, I want to see more help, I think, around how those that are less fortunate or having issues or struggling, how they're being helped there, and what we can do to expedite that. I know that there's some new areas that are being built out down on Main Street to move some of those services for homeless folks down there and expand it and add more capacity as well as more services. And I think looking at how those help as well as expanding that maybe even around the rest of the neighborhoods and see what that's like. But beyond just the neighborhood, I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked actually all over the world. I've founded startups from Berlin, Germany, to Nairobi, Kenya, Saigon, Vietnam, as well as here in Portland. And so I'm also interested in business development and innovation. I'm an AI startup founder, and I'm interested in connections with things like the Clackamas Community College and how they're doing expanding their business opportunities as well as opportunities for startups and students. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm here. So I can go through the next questions.
No, thank you.
Okay.
We're taking turns asking the questions.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
So the second question is, what is the most important goal or purpose of the Planning Commission?
I guess in my eyes, the most important goal is to make sure that sustainability and development happen, and the focuses of the commission is around inclusivity of the community, as well as the goals of the different state and local regional governments that have to get involved as well. Metro, State of Oregon, Clackamas County, excuse me. But I think the purpose overall and goal is exactly that. It's just to involve the community and the citizens in planning out and helping to evolve the city and the different types of bonds construction that's happening in and around that area.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. What are your thoughts on balancing livability, housing costs, and state and local code requirements?
Yeah, I think all of those kind of are interesting as you look at what's happening with downtown and the Willamette Falls, and then I think also the plans that were. I'm not sure what happened with the plans that were around the landfill area and that connection back with the Main Street. But I think obviously you want a city that has livability, a high score for livability as well as I think when you're looking at housing costs and code requirements, those all sort of connect back in. I know when I used to work for the Metro regional government, as part of their IT department there. And I know a lot of the things that happened there around state and local code had to do with the different bureaucracies and the different codes and connecting those back together. So I think the main thing for balancing livability and housing costs with codes is looking at how can we make these things easier to understand, easier for folks to follow. And then also, I think with livability, you're also looking at things like how easy is it for kids to walk to school? How is it for folks to find affordable food options and be able to get around through the city, traffic, things like that? All of those are important to make a high livability and then hopefully reduce housing costs as well. But I think the things that you can do there is really about planning codes and what mixed use communities and things like that can help with that.
So as you know, we're interested in knowing what skills you can bring to the Planning Commission. So what relevant experiences, skills, and abilities prepared you for being on the Planning Commission?
I mentioned I worked Metro Regional Government as part of the Data Resource Center and IT there. So I had a lot of experience with data modeling and looking at different region, especially across the region, but some across county and within city government, different ways to model data and looking at things like traffic and I think especially when you look at housing and things like that, all of that experience is relevant. I think I've had a lot of experience working and living in other cities around the world. I've seen a lot of different transportation options. I've seen a lot of different housing options, and I've seen a lot of different ways governments work. I have a lot of relevant experience, I think, around just being able to do planning and communication around that, and looking at the availability of different options, being able to look at a problem and problem solve it, and look at different options that could be available, seen outside the box, I guess.
What types of decisions does the Planning Commission get involved in?
Well, I assume as whatever is essentially focused in the charter, but I think the overall Planning Commission decisions, I assume, would be focused on, like we mentioned before, transportation options, I think housing options, and mixed-use zones, and how those affect different areas of the city, and as well as, I guess, any other work as it comes up as relevant to what the rest of the city government is requiring.
Okay, oftentimes public comments are opposed to development projects. How would you take public comment into account in making your decisions on the Planning Commission?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with how you hear those voices that are the loudest and what their agenda is. Often, I think, when you're dealing with, say, highly motivated individuals, political discussions, I think a lot of it can be the people that are affected the most sometimes can talk up and speak the most. The loudest voices tend to be those that are looking or have an agenda, I think, or have a specific internal focus and their own things that are being affected by those decisions. So I think in terms of public comments, people that get involved in that tend to be those that are highly motivated. And so you want to look at their reasoning behind that and look at what those needs are and hear that and be able to make those decisions and help make those decisions and have those discussions based on that. But also, I think development projects sometimes can go against some of the louder voices, and you have to make sure that you have the public good overall and are doing the research and understanding that as well. So sometimes the loudest voices aren't always the ones to listen to.
Thank you.
So the Planning Commission meets on we should have had that as a question, see if people know when they meet. Second and fourth Mondays of each month at 7 p.m. And will you be able to make yourself available to read the materials and attend any of the meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are, I run a business that's normal business hours. And so I think other than my family, there's no other obligations, and I'm sure they'd be happy to let those couple of days go.
So do you is there anything else you'd like us to know?
Just from my experience, I think I think it's good in these positions, and especially with the things that are happening inside of the city right now, and as we look at the larger political climate, I think it's good to get different voices involved, people that are interested in this, in wanting to help out. And I hope that whoever it is that you end up choosing, I hope that it's not affected too much by political realities and much more around what's needed for the city, and somebody that's interested in helping everyone, not just their own agenda. So I think in terms of my experience, I think you have enough to go by. I think in terms of what I'm looking for, again, it's to get involved and to bring a little bit of a different, maybe a slightly different opinion and more of a, let's say, data-driven approach to problem solving.
Do you have any questions for us?
I guess mostly around just the timeline and what the next steps are, but also specifically, I think, around what the Planning Commission's next big agenda items are and what they're going to be working on sooner rather than
That's
later.
what you needed to have researched.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I mean I assume that things can be affected by the political realities and things like that, but they aren't. They posted and stay right on track.
Nope.
Okay. So in other words, things don't get moved to the top of an agenda just because one person or somebody in the government wants it to happen. It's planned out and everything stays exactly as the agenda.
Pretty much.
Okay, good to know.
Yep. Anyway, well, thank you so much for coming in. I'll make a note that tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the library, the McLaughlin neighborhood meets. I don't know if you've ever been to a meeting.
I have been to the McLaughlin, yeah.
Good. Well, we're meeting again tomorrow.
Okay,
So
good.
look forward to seeing you there.
All right, thank you.
Yes. The timeline is that we, hopefully we will be able to make a decision this evening. So that's our plan.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're a little bit ahead of schedule. Yes. Paul 11. After the next one, I want to go and get my beverage that I didn't finish because my throat's getting dry a little bit. Hi there, welcome. And we have some questions there for you to review, and we're going to go around. Each of us will ask something. But first of all, we'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us why you are interested in serving on the Planning Commission. And are there any opportunities or issues facing your neighborhood that you are aware of that you can talk to us about?
All right. My name is Paul Michael Levin. I've lived in Oregon City for 5 years. I am also the local Boy Scout leader for Oregon City for the last 5 years. I live right outside the city limits, right off Henry C. And that's part of the reason I actually want to join the commission is the traffic has gotten horrible through town, and I wanted to maybe help solve and give some of my feedback and expertise in construction background to mitigate that.
We had openings for the Transportation Advisory Commission, so anyway, so what are opportunities and issues facing your neighborhood? So you have a CPO.
What was that again?
You have a CPO out where you are. You don't have a neighborhood association in Oregon City. You have a CPO.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the CPO?
What do you mean by CPO? I'm confused by
Community Planning Organization.
Oh, the community plan, okay.
Yeah, they don't call them neighborhood associations in Clackamas County.
Oh, okay. So where I'm at, the CPO, I'm really kind of understanding your question though. What my plan, like, what do you mean by my?
What are any opportunities or issues facing your neighborhood?
Oh, the traffic is what's affecting my neighborhood the most, and it's because the amount of building that the city is allowing to happen is the infrastructure is not in place for the amount of people that they're welcoming into our city.
So explain to me further how that affects, because you're not in the city, so you're in the county.
Yeah, with travel times, trying to get to and from work has been a major factor. Trying to leave my residence, being off of 213. It's now been like it's usually like a 5-minute drive into town, and anywhere now it can be like a 20 to 30-minute drive into town, just based off of the traffic. And I feel like the traffic is part of the because of all the building that's been going on and being allowed in town without any infrastructure changes, that's really affecting the people outside of the community, my neighbors and myself.
Okay.
All right. What is the most important goal or purpose of the Planning Commission?
I believe the goal is to make sure that everything is in the best interest of the residents of the city, to make sure that the plans and buildings and projects that they allow are in the best interest of the people.
Okay, what are your thoughts on balancing livability, housing costs, and state and local code requirements?
Take your time.
Yeah. I guess balancing livability with housing costs and state and local requirements would really just, I guess you guys are just talking about like the cost to build and everything like that for permitting and everything like that. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that question. I guess I don't feel like there's really much that you can do to balance all of that. I feel like a lot of that stuff is just based off of the economy itself.
Okay, thank you.
So what relevant experiences, skills, and abilities have prepared you for being on the Planning Commission?
I've been in a civic role with the Boy Scouts. I'm a general contractor. I have experience with building, working with the cities for encroachment and other, building necessities such as sewer, electrical, stuff like that, infrastructure.
Okay, Adam.
All right. What types of decisions does the Planning Commission get involved in?
I want to say it doesn't like zoning, state and local zoning and building requirements, I guess.
Okay. Oftentimes, public comments are opposed to development projects. How would you take public comment into account in making your decisions on the Planning Commission?
I take a lot of that into heart a lot. That's really kind of my whole mantra with it all. Really be like, I want to be able to hear what the people have to say. I feel like the people's voice is the most important voice. They're the people that have to deal with it. I feel like the commission is supposed to take those people's voices and make the best decision based off what the community wants as a whole.
So the Planning Commission meets on the second and fourth Mondays of the month at 7 p.m. And they have materials that will be coming out in advance for you to review and read. And will you have, are you available to read the materials, attend any of the meetings and hearings?
Yes. I own my own business, so I set my own schedule, so I can set time aside to make
That's
that possible.
very lucky. Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
No, pretty much it.
Do you have any questions for us?
No?
Well, we appreciate your filling out the application and coming in and interviewing, and I understand you were one of the many people who were easy to get a hold of. So thank you for responding to our staff when they called.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I want 5 minutes. Jacob, I want 5 minutes. I need to get some water. Yes, our last candidate. So we have the questions there in front of you. And we're going to go around and each one of us will ask a question. And first of all, we'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us why you want to serve on the Planning Commission. And the second part of the question is, are there any opportunities or issues facing the neighborhood that you live in that you would like to inform us about? And turn the mic on.
Sounds good. Well, my name's Cronin Hoffman. I'm a 7th generation Oregonian. I just recently, in the last 4 years, moved to off of Front Avenue in the Park Place neighborhood. And I love the neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. And I believe there's a big opportunity that we're addressing in the neighborhood currently right now. There's construction undergoing. And I kind of sensed in the last few years after moving there that there was going to be something going on with the neighborhood. My intuition ended up being correct. And I'm happy to see that there's something going on there. It's a big parcel of land that was being underutilized for many, many years. And I know it was a big effort on the city to probably get that accomplished, to get everybody reconvened and everything. But other than that, I'm here just as a construction guy, developer, been in the business for 20 years, and I would just like to give back to the community that's given so much to me. This was really honestly a spur of the moment situation. I wasn't very planned for this. I didn't know I was even interviewing for this position, to be honest with you. I was with the Parks Commission. I did, and I didn't ever receive anything other than the email that I had today. So I don't have much. I didn't plan very well for this, so I apologize. I didn't understand I was under. This was an extremely formal planned meeting like we were in the situation of. So I didn't mean to waste anybody's time. I thought I was kind of going just to meet somebody one-on-one here. I had no idea what I was signed up for.
Sorry. Question 2, what is the most important goal or purpose of the Planning Commission?
To make sure the community is happy and engaged, and that their voices are being heard.
Okay, next question. What are your thoughts on balancing livability, housing costs, and state and local code requirements?
Well, I think the state and local code requirements are some of the bigger challenges that we're currently facing right now. And if there would be a way to somehow incentivize versus disincentivizing builders, that would probably help a lot.
Okay, what relevant experience, skills, and abilities have prepared you to be on the Planning Commission?
Well, I've been in construction for 20 years. I've helped develop many subdivisions around the neighborhood. Honestly, I'm not sure I'm the most qualified person for this position, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, that's being honest. Go ahead. Yep, I asked the question.
What types of decisions does the Planning Commission get involved in?
I believe how much jurisdiction does Metro have over the Planning Commission, or is this just directly within the city?
Well, we're not really in the position right now to be answering questions, so we're asking you the questions.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, depending on what Metro's involvement is and the agreements with ODOT, not PDOT, but Oregon City,
Okay, Michael?
Okay, oftentimes public comments are opposed to development projects. How would you take public comment into account in making your decisions on the Planning Commission?
Well, I am part of the public, so I take everybody's opinion into consideration and make the best decision based on what's accommodated to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
So the Planning Commission meets on the second and fourth Mondays of each month at 7 p.m. They have lots of things to read, and so would you be able to read the material and attend the meetings?
Yes, I can read material and attend meetings.
Okie dokie, that is good. So is there anything else you'd like us to know?
Not at this time, no.
And do you have any questions for us?
I do not. Thank you for your time. I apologize.
Thank you for coming in. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Mr. Williston, you want to come take your seat? Scott, do you want to come take your seat? I'd love it if you could. Yeah, that's okay.
How many openings are we filling?
2.
2. Okay,
And we don't have to either.
right.
You're okay? Yeah. Glad you're here. Go ahead.
So I think the easiest decision for me is Trace Guymont. I was very impressed by his interview, especially for someone who we don't usually see at meetings. It was clear that he, if he didn't already know it, he did his homework, and that was probably one of the best interviews we've done for this. And I think we've done it more than 2 times. I think we've done it 3 or more. So I would enthusiastically support him for one of the positions. And when it comes to the other, I think my second choice would probably be Gregory Lind. But I could, if there isn't consensus, I would be fine holding on that one for now.
Yeah, I would like to recommend that we make one appointment. I think I concur with your comment. I don't think we have to fill the other one. I'd like to go back out. I think they were all great. They're all really well-meaning people. But I don't think that they have all the qualifications and skills that we're really looking for to be on the Planning Commission. I get a little nervous a lot of times when somebody has never served on a board or done anything in the city and then they leap right to the Planning Commission, but I agree with you. He actually looked at some meetings. He didn't use all the buzzwords, but he basically talked about, Trace talked about the different types of hearings. He understood that there was criteria that we had to use. It wasn't just like, okay, let's just do whatever the community says, because that's not how it works. As you all know, I take the Planning Commission very seriously. It's a very important body. And so I think if we want to leave the second position open, re-advertise, get a little more specificity, I would support us appointing Trace.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he was a clear number 1, and Greg would have been my number 2, but there's a pretty substantial drop off, so I don't have a problem with going back out for the other position.
Agree with that?
I agree, exactly the same.
Well, let's have a motion then.
I move to...
Before you make a motion on that, if we're only appointing one position tonight,
Yes.
With our recently adopted revision to the policy for the procedure for this, one of the seats would continue to, one of the current members would continue to stay. So if you're appointing one of them, would it be for Gregory Stoll's
It'd be
position?
Greg, because unfortunately Dirk has moved out of the city.
Okay, so we would be appointing to the
Do we have
current
anybody
seat
else?
5.
Right, do we have, we can have one person who's not? No, the Planning Commission.
2.
which positions can we have on the planning commission? Can we allow somebody who's not living within the city limits to be on the planning commission?
Yes, you're allowed to
There are
have
two.
two non-residents. Currently, there are no non-residents, so that means you can appoint anyone. We only have one applicant that is a non-resident, so
Okay.
And we would be appointing to fill Dirk's seat.
Dirk's seat.
Or we, the other thing we could do, is we could ask which one of them wants to stay. And then come back and appoint. I know that they both were interested and they both were kind of like, oh, I would like to continue. So can we
Okay,
do
let's
that?
just assume both of them want to continue, so now it's back to you to
Right.
make a decision.
Right, exactly.
We're assuming both of them want to continue?
I mean, yes, I'm making a big assumption, but
It will take one phone call to find that information out.
it's up to y'all.
And then we can appoint. So can we hold that? Okay, so let's make a motion to appoint, how do you pronounce his last name? Is it Guymont? Yeah, he
Not
did,
yet,
yeah.
not yet.
Is it Guymont or?
That's how I heard it.
Guymont. Guymont?
Well, I would prefer to just make a decision tonight. I think that given that Dirk has moved out, not that that disqualifies him, but I think that it aligned with what his anticipated service was. So I would just prefer to appoint Trace to that position and ask for Greg to continue on.
I'll second that.
Oh, I didn't make a motion.
Oh,
But I was just
Sounded
throwing that
like-
out there.
sounded like a motion.
Like I said.
I move to appoint Trace Guymont to the position on the Planning Commission currently held by Dirk Schlagenhofer.
second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Abstain.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So I would like to just when we take a quick break after our meeting, that I make a quick phone call. One of us can call Dirk, one of us can I'll call Greg. I have both their numbers and say, could you continue? And we can move it to our regular agenda meeting and appoint them. All right. We are done with this part of the meeting and we will put the other item back on our agenda.